Welcome back to another episode of the Align for Success podcast. I am Deborah Deras, your hostess with the mostest, here to bring you another amazing, inspirational friend of mine, a mentor, someone that inspires me by the way that he is living his life aligned for success. And we are here, if you haven't realized, on a different night than we normally are. We've been doing Monday nights since the beginning of the year. I'm not quite sure why, because Mondays are very overwhelming for people. They have meetings. Some people are taking long weekends. So I'm testing out a new night for a transformational tune in Tuesday. So let me know. Do you prefer Monday? Do you like Tuesday? Because I want to make this show amazing for each and every one of you. And for those of you that are new to the Align for Success podcast, my intention is to help you with the tools, with the success strategies, so that you can live your life aligned from the inside out. What does that mean, aligned? That your thoughts, your emotions, your behaviors are incongruent with your actions, that you're getting the results that you want in your career, in your health, in your relationships, in your spiritual growth, and in your life. And what better way to learn how to expand, how to transform your life than from other people? I have a saying that I love, which is success leaves clues. And because success leaves clues, I have mentors, coaches. In fact, you may or may not be surprised. I have about 5 to 7 coaches. I have a marketing coach, I have a speaking coach, I have a spiritual coach, I have a money coach. And I want to say right now, Dr. Joo, our guest today, he's my passionate living coach. Okay. He doesn't know it because I've just been watching him travel the planet. I've been watching him just be his magnificent self. And I'm like, ooh la la, I got to know this guy. And I want to introduce him to you because you are going to be inspired by him. But before I introduce him, I want to remind you of our mantra, which is sharing is caring. Whether you're watching this on Facebook, watching this on YouTube, or on the replay on Instagram, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, I want to invite you to share this. What would the world be like if everyone was living on purpose? They didn't have a job, but they had a joy where they didn't have to go to work, but they got to serve their purpose and to use their abundant talents, skills, and abilities to be abundantly paid to best serve the world. What would life be like then? Okay, so share this on your social media so that other people can be inspired because that is what I live for. Each and every day, I wake up in the morning and I don't say TGIF, I'm so glad it's Friday. Oh no, I say TGI. Ah, thank God I'm awake, aware, and aligned. TGI, because every day that we're alive and that we have breath, we can have purpose and inspiration. And if you want even more purpose and inspiration, I want to give you a very, very special gift because one of the things that I've created for you is an alignment video training. You can grab it and download it totally free on my website. It is my name, which is deborahderas.com. See it down below, DeborahDeras.com. And you can grab the Align for Success video, watch it whenever you want, and you can get rid of the ego that is not your amigo, that will stop you in your tracks when you have your foot on the gas, ready to live passionately, and it'll pull up the brake and say, who are you to do that? Or you're not qualified, or you've got too much experience or too little experience. Well, after you watch this show, none of that will be your excuse. You will be ready, okay? Because our guest today, he is born ready, okay? He doesn't even have to get ready. He is born ready. And the nickname for him is Viajero Salsero y maestro. In English, salsero, which is like a salsa dancer. He's also a traveler and a master teacher. And guess what? Today, he is going to teach all of us passionate living, how to get out of our own way to live an incredible life of our dreams. And he has these nicknames: Viajero, Salsero, Maestro. He's also a doctor. We will call him Dr. Joo Tey, a director of a large manufacturing company in the fashion apparel industry, while keeping his passion for traveling and dancing. And when he says traveling, like Million Mile Club, okay, he has lived, this is the exciting part, in 5 continents throughout his life and has so many various cultural experiences. Before we came on, he was teaching me about Colombia, the country where my dad was born, because he's so savvy about the world. Please help me welcome Dr. Ju. Hey, I think you're muted. I'm going to unmute
Oh,
you,
hey.
right? Welcome,
Yes.
Dr. Ju.
Hey, Deborah. Nice to see you. Woohoo, I'm so excited to be here.
Let's have a hug.
Big hug.
Ah, yes. I brought out my maracas for you.
All right. I should put some salsa on.
Exactly. Exactly. Except YouTube will get mad at us if we do, so we won't. But welcome. Tell them where you're streaming in from.
I'm in Hanoi, Vietnam right now. Actually, my hotel room. So forgive the background. Yeah. Long way away. But guess what? I will be flying into California tonight.
Yes, we're
So
ready. Let's go dancing. I'll be ready. 111. Let's go.
I
Call
know,
me.
and
Call me from
like
the airport.
I keep telling people America is open again. People are partying and
Oh, yeah.
going crazy, and many parts of the world are still on lockdown and this that. People are on fear. So yeah, I'm quite excited to be back in the free America, especially California, my old home.
Ah, exactly.
My
Your
home
second
to my
home. And
friends.
then when you leave LA, you're going to go to a new home, which is where?
Well, I'm moving to Bangkok,
Isn't that exciting?
Thailand. Yes. So you were saying that I've lived in 5 continents, 6 countries. Bangkok, Thailand will be the seventh country that
Wow.
that lived. Yes. Yeah.
So amazing. And I think it takes a certain amount of courage and bravery, because every time you're in a different country, it's a different culture, and you have to be comfortable in your own skin to make yourself at home in that new culture. And I think that's something that you have a special gift for. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But
Sure.
before we do, I want you to share with everyone how you started in your career and became Dr. Ju, manufacturing company executive slash salsa dance teacher. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that would take a long time, but I'll try to handle this. As a okay, my let's talk about my career. So as a young Asian boy, a Chinese descent boy born in Malaysia, my parents saved up money to send me to overseas university. So I went to England when I was late teen, at 18. I went to study university in England in engineering. So I managed to get myself to top of the class in the degree in the School of Mechanical Engineering of 150 students, and won myself a scholarship, which means
Wow.
that I became financially independent. I didn't need to take money from my parents, and I got a scholarship to do a PhD in University of Birmingham at the age of 20.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, and then I was at that time I was excited because you gotta they give you the scholarship to do the PhD for free for the next
Right.
years or so, and they even pay you like a paycheck each month. So I was like, all students are poor, and I was like the richest students in town. I even had a car. Um,
Ooh.
but most importantly, I was financially independent, which means that studying in England is expensive. So
Right.
my parents did great for me until I was 20 years old, and so I was happy to be independent at that time. So I finished my career. I finished my PhD at age of 24, and so then obviously then I was Doctor Tay,
That's
but
amazing. 24. Some people are just still deciding if they want to go to college at 24. You were done with your PhD.
I was done with my PhD. Yeah, I got all the study out of the way first. Um, yeah, but I had no working experience at that time. So when I came out as a Dr. Tay, I came to this harsh realization that companies don't pay you more money just because you have PhD. You got to have the work experience.
Really?
So
That's a shock to me.
yeah, it was true. In fact, it was hindering my job application and my job seeking. Many companies wouldn't take me because they say, "Oh, this guy has no experience but have a PhD, so he might be expecting more money, but we don't want to pay him more because he's not able to contribute more because he doesn't have
Ah,
experience." So I sent out hundreds of application. I probably only got two interview. In fact,
wow.
so I managed to land my first job as a kind of on a student visa at that time. To find a job in England wasn't easy, and I was kind of overqualified for many companies in a way. So I actually had to take the entry level salary just like everybody else. So the PhD actually in the beginning of my career did not help or springboard me to like a super career start or fast track or anything like that. So that is not the reality.
Mm,
But uh, I- Having said that, the PhD, having had the PhD, really helped me later on throughout my life in many other aspects. So, for those of you who are thinking about doing PhD or who have done a PhD, uh, don't expect to have double salary when you come out just because you do the experience still counts,
right,
but the the experience of having done a PhD, going through that process actually does mature you in a way, your own growth in your own
right.
temperament, in your own intellect, and in your own discipline in
Ah,
pursuing something that later on in your life it will come back to help you. uh, Not to even mention where people give you respect. I mean, in many places people just give you respect and grant you that kind of respect just because they know you've been through that process and that experience. So
it's
that's how I started. And I started like an engineer because I graduated in mechanical engineering, and my PhD was in manufacturing management. So I started as an engineer, and fast forward to today, I manage a manufacturing company uh, of 4,000 employees, and
my
we have a
gosh.
turnover of over 100 million a year. Uh, so, so yeah, I've been grateful for the early support from my parents, and so that's how I became Dr. Ju on the career side.
And it's so funny because we've been friends on Facebook, I don't know how long, 3 or 4 years, but I never knew anything about your career because you
Mm.
don't talk about it. Like, you never say you're Dr. Jew, you never talk about your man. It's just pictures of you traveling and dancing. Travel, that's how we probably connected through salsa, traveling and dancing salsa. Scorpio, of course, Scorpios. My
Yes,
last guest, my
Scorpio rock,
last guest, Elijah Rock, was also a Scorpio. We
Scorpio,
we're passionate
passionate,
people
deep, and
connect.
intense. Yes,
Exactly. Oh, is that
yes,
what they say? Scorpios are passionate, deep, and
and
intense.
intense. Yes,
Yes.
yes, and we both are. You and I.
Yes, exactly. And it's too hot to handle for some people,
Oh
but
yeah.
other people, it's just right. It's just right. So like, he's talking about his career and all of his accolades, and I'm so glad because, you know, what's important is not just your degree, but what you do with it and how you use it and how you've been able to grow to create a life that you love, right? Because
Mhm.
your career could have you behind a desk and behind a cubicle and being stuck, but your career gets you out. How do you rack up 1,000,000 miles of travel? How does your career involve that traveling
Right.
lifestyle that you love?
Yeah, it's you mentioned about the Facebook posting and that, which is which is very true. I mean, I it's not as exciting. I mean, nobody wants to see my life in the office, or maybe some of them do, but it's not something that you share with the world. But I have this other side of my persona, which is the artistic side, the dancing side of me, the traveling side of me, which of course is more kind of post worthy. I'm a bit of a nerd with posting also. Um, Maybe it's a bit like Clark Kent and Superman, right? I take off my glasses and
Ah,
I go
there you go.
dancing,
There you
um,
go.
but yeah, but in my career, there are many years in between that, when especially when I lived in California, I was kind of in the field. So I was working in the commercial organization, working on the sales side. So I was flying week after week, every week. So I remember there's 52 weeks in a year. I would fly 44 trips, something like that.
Oh,
Um,
that's not fun though.
right. It's a commitment. It's a commitment.
Right.
I used to fly over 100,000 miles a year, and I know that because that's what you need to hit to become the executive platinum, and you need to
Oh,
maintain that year after year after year.
oh wow.
It's like you do 100,000 miles this year and you get executive next year, executive platinum next year. But if next year you don't do the same again, you don't the following year you don't have that. Now,
Oh.
for executive platinum, meaning, for many people it probably doesn't matter, but for us it does. You're the first one that board the plane, you're the first one that get upgraded to first class, you get
Ooh.
the best meals, you get the most points. Those treatments are for people that are on the plane every week. Maybe four segments, right? Two times going out, two times coming back. It's important how fast you get to sit down and get settled. It's important how you get treated. So I did that for many years, which eventually get me over 1,000,000 miles. So
Oh
when
my
you get
God.
over 1,000,000 miles, they give you a title of million miler. Million miler also is a lifetime goal, but regardless of the status and what they give you, it's just a recognition of, wow, I have been on the air, practically live a big percentage of my life.
How many years is that? 1,000,000 miles. You spent 2 years in the air.
Yeah, it took me 15 years to accumulate that.
Wow.
Uh, and if you think about it, it's just, a lot of your percentage of your time you spend in the air and in a hotel room. So it's a big commitment. People, maybe for most people, of course, they see, wow, you're posting fancy hotels and fancy restaurants and good food and all that, but what they don't see are the time that we spend on the plane by ourselves with
It's
strangers,
lonely.
lonely, delays in the airport, getting rent a car, trying to get somewhere all the time. The sleep patterns are messed up because of the time zone differences, and sometimes you're going to sleep much, and in a different hotel rooms, and you gotta go from one place to another. And so yeah, it's not all glamorous. So
No.
that is but the experience, I wouldn't do anything differently.
Right.
The experience, is that it train you to be focused all the time, because you have to be at a certain place at a certain time. You got to be there, you got to perform, because you're there on
Exactly.
business. I'm there to meet
Right.
the clients. I have to be prepared, I have to dress up all nice. I have to, even though I didn't sleep well last night for whatever reason, for traveling, but I have to be on point
Right.
there and perform. So the traveling part, that part, is what I actually enjoy the most. Not necessarily the fancy hotels and restaurants, which all the people think, oh, this is all it's about.
Hmm.
Yes. So that's
And what is it that you do enjoy? The people, the culture, discovering new things?
all of that, but most importantly, the the process of having to be a certain place, a certain time. So you're always constantly on the clock. You're always constantly setting yourself short-term goals and tasks. Every day you might have 10, 20, 50 tasks to complete
Right,
because you got to be there. It's like, okay, half an hour, I got to check out. Okay.
right,
Once I get there, I got to get a car. Okay. I got to get these documents ready. Oh, is my presentation slide? Oh, am I dressed right?
right.
All of that. I got to
So
be on that.
the feeling
Yeah.
of accomplishment.
Right.
I literally, because I am a traveler, I was really grateful that quarantine came because it got me off the road because I do motivational speaking, right? And I would be like going from Italy to Houston, you know what I mean? And it would just be like, where am I? What am I doing? I went to so many places that I didn't even get to see because when I first started traveling, I didn't realize that you need to spend time for pleasure. It was always business. So then I started scheduling time at the end because I couldn't do it at the beginning, but I would never know where I was. And I'm super ADD, Dr. Ju. So I would have to have a timer and I would set every minute, get on the plane. Because once I'm in the airport, I start shopping, I wander off, I start talking to people, making friends. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to miss my plane. One time I went to the airport not at the time of the plane. It was the number of the plane. So then I had to like use all these apps to like organize my flights to like get it together. Flying is not glamorous. It's not fun.
It's so funny, right? We have to compare our alarm clocks. Um, I go from writing down on my note today's top three. What are the top three things? But of course, the top three becomes top five, becomes top 10. Like I got
Right.
10 things to do today. And I went from that list to be like setting alarm clocks. I am not joking you. And this is the first time you tell me about your alarm clock. We have to compare. This morning to get up for your podcast, I said 7 o'clock in the morning, wake up for podcast. And then I said 7:15. 15 minutes later, I say shower and change for podcast.
Yes. Prep for the
15 minutes later.
podcast. See
And,
Jew.
and then 7:30, another 15 minutes later. So 7 o'clock, I set alarm to get up. 7:15, I set alarm to shower and change. 7:30, I said, you will be late for live podcast. I set alarm to remind myself if I don't wake up, then I will be late for live podcast.
And that's the thing I think about success is that when they would always say if you want something done ask a busy person, right? Because one of the things that you learned in your PhD program is to GSD, get stuff done.
Yes,
Right?
I like that.
Yeah, GSD, get stuff done, get shit done, right? You learn that, and then it helped you in everything in life because oftentimes people will say, oh, I want to, like for me, I want to train for a triathlon. And I think, oh, there's not time. Guess what I'm going to do when I leave this? I'm going to go swimming in the pool with my swim coach, right? It's like there's always time for what we prioritize. And
Yes.
it's about, like you said, every day I make a list. I call them my income producing activities, IPAs, because
Mm,
I'm running my own business. No one's going to tell me what to do. I have to tell
mm,
myself what to do. And
mm.
that's where you have the self-discipline when you're on the road because there's nobody watching over your
Right.
shoulder. You have to you have to dress for success. You have to set your mind for success. I'm really curious, like you are. What is your self-talk? How do you, especially when you were younger, like in your 20s? Like I used to be so like doubting myself. How did you have that confident mind that you could lead a team of 4,000, that you can bring in hundreds of millions of dollars? What is your self-talk?
Mm. You talk about having set those goals. I think it's very important to also be organized and focus on it, regardless of what others might think of you, or regardless of what other obstructions or things that might come in your way.
Right.
So it goes with everything, of course. business is one thing. Let's just use the example of your daily goal. Let's say, okay, we talk about travel and going to places, and I just before the show we're talking about Carnival,
Of
Rio
course.
Carnival. I say go to Carnival, the biggest party you've ever seen in the world, the most amazing experience you've ever had. Now, I wanted to go to Carnival for many years, but nobody seemed to be able to get their things together and go with me. So if you're relying on doing something with other people, it might
Mm,
take forever,
right.
especially something like that, right?
Right.
Because people think, well, it's too far, it's too expensive, or I don't have
Right.
time of work. There are so many things in life that could be distracting.
Excuses.
Right. Yeah. And I want to be empathetic also. There are real reasons, but
Right.
also I was lucky enough to have the means and the to get some of these things accomplished. But most importantly, your mentality, your fearlessness.
Yes.
So in so I said to myself, okay, this is what I want to do. I doesn't matter if no one else can do it with me. I'm gonna do it, okay? And
Right.
I'm gonna do it next year. I'm gonna do it, or at that time it was 2015. I'm gonna do it in 2015. Okay. All I have to do is to book the hotel, is to take the time off work, get on the flight, get there. Okay. So I did. So I also accomplished many, many, many of such things in my life. But it takes focus, which is lonely because sometimes people don't understand, or they don't support, or they just don't know how to support, because they say, okay, well, you want to go to Africa, you want to go take a job in Mauritius. I have no idea how it is. Aren't you scared? Why are you doing that? So once you want to do something, which in my mind, the driving force behind it has always been, you only have one life.
Yes.
This is the time you got to do it all that you want.
Hmm.
Okay. I would rather have, I don't want to have what ifs. I don't want to have years down the road and say, oh, what if I've done that?
Right.
I don't want what ifs. That's how I live my life.
Hmm.
I would rather have, oh, well, I've tried that.
Ah, that's
So,
good. So shift your mentality from what if to, oh well, maybe it wasn't what I thought, it was something different, but
right,
but I did it.
right. But you see, the biggest regrets in my life, and I learned this earlier, in a younger age, is that you always regret the things that you didn't do.
Right.
You don't, you know, you don't, or you shouldn't regret the things that you have done, because at that time, whatever decision you made is with the best of your judgment and the information that you had and the experience that you had at the time. So if you hadn't done it, you wouldn't know what the outcome would have been, right? So I always say, you go for it and you say, oh, well, it's like that, instead of what ifs. But guess what? Most of the time, my oh, well have not been oh, well. It have been oh, wow. Uh,
I love it.
because,
Oh
yeah, because
wow.
whatever decision you made, and you've gone for it, then you put yourself in there and you make the best of where
Right.
you are and where you do, which is
Exactly.
again what I always want to do. You make the best of what it is, even if they put you in the worst place in the world with the
Right.
worst weather and the worst food and the most miserable people. You can still make a great time and life for yourself, and I've done it a
And
few times.
there's still a life lesson. I'll never forget the time I went to San Francisco because they were developing an app for me, and I
Mm,
had no idea what that did, but I was like, I don't want to say what if, right? So I went there and they put me like in a startup house with all these young 20-year-old boys. I was like, why am I here? Then I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? I'm like a 35-year-old woman with these young tech startups. And then they're like, oh, by the way, the startup house has bed bugs. Ah,
oh
scared.
shit.
It was horrible. I mean, that part was horrible, but even if something doesn't go the way we think, we have to realize that this is my belief, a divine order, that there's a synchronicity, that we're always in the right place at the right time with the right people. And it may not be what we expected or anticipated, but if we live in infinite possibility, we'll get the lesson from it. There's always don't you find that in your travels that there's lessons that you learn that you couldn't learn if you stayed in the same culture, that going into Brazilian culture and Colombian culture and all the different continents that you've been in, you've been able to adapt. Can we talk about that? How
Yeah.
you're so comfortable in all these other cultures. And aren't you fluent? How many languages do you speak?
6 languages.
See, mira, he was talking to me in Spanish better than I was speaking Spanish. How are you so comfortable with all these cultures and
Well,
trilingual times two?
yeah, I'm also blessed and grateful that I grew up in Malaysia. And
Uh,
if you are a Chinese descent growing up in Malaysia, you speak at least 2 or 3 languages. So I
so
grew up
wonderful.
speaking four. My dad is an English teacher. My mom
Oh,
went to Chinese school. So even between them, they don't have the same primary language, and they
wow.
share a dialect, which is my grandmother's dialect, Hokkien. So, and then I have to learn Malay being in Malaysia. So I grew up speaking 4 languages. Even in the household, there is 3 languages mixed in the same sentence.
Like Spanglish, like three
Like
mixed.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
So it will be English, Mandarin, Hokkien. Like, it wasn't even weird. It was so common,
right,
natural for
right.
my mom, dad, myself, my siblings to be talking in all these languages simultaneously at home. So growing up four. Now, I learned 2 more as an adult. I went to college and I learned Cantonese because it's
Uh-huh.
important. And then I went to Puerto Rico. I lived there for 3 years, and
You lived in Puerto Rico?
I lived in Puerto
I'm so
Rico 3 years. That's where I
Puerto
picked
Rico.
up Spanish. Yes.
Tostones, plátanos. Like I love the food. Oh my God, the food.
Maduro. Prefiero
Maduros.
Maduro.
I love
Yeah.
maduros. I love maduros. I went there for a
Tostones.
salsa convention the first time.
Oh, right.
Yeah, yeah.
The Congreso de Salsa.
The first one in
Congreso.
2000.
Mm. Puerto Rico organized the very first
Yeah,
Salsa
I
Congress.
was there.
Wow.
I was at the first one.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I lived there from 2008 and 2010. So I
Ah,
went to the Congress at that time.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
The salsa, my experience in Puerto Rico, this can be another podcast because this,
My friend Stacy, she's from Puerto Rico. She's like, yes.
Boricua. So Puerto Rico actually is where I started to have the nickname El Maestro because
Oh,
I was dancing on the street and usually clear out the crowd because not many people seen a chinito dance salsa.
but did you know salsa before you went to Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Okay,
I,
and
I, I already danced salsa for over 10 years, and I already was teaching salsa for a few years, and I actually won a championship in England before I moved to Puerto Rico. So I started a class in Puerto Rico. I was teaching in Puerto Rico.
whoa! But
Um,
that's my question to you, Dr. Ju. I know this is so natural for you, but how are you so comfortable and confident in your own skin when you're the fish out of water, where you stick out in the crowd?
right. Probably it depends on where. I mean, in the 6 countries that I have been, I've not always been comfortable, especially
Okay.
when I was young. As a teenager, I was actually very uncomfortable. Um,
Everybody's uncomfortable as a teenager, but
right? Yeah. I actually, if you ask me again, I don't want to live teenage again. It's kind of scary
no
time.
way, me either. Oh no.
Give me 20s. I'll do 20s again, but not teenage.
Yeah,
And is that well, maybe also because naturally my background was Chinese, Malaysian, and I spoke English since I was young. So I went to England, and in my 20s it was all experimental and making mistakes and putting myself out and all that. And once you've done it a few times, gradually your confidence grow. And then I was able to know, yeah, now you want me to move to another city, another culture. I mean, another language, okay. I said, well, I know six languages, which is not the whole world, but it covers 80 to 90%. If you know Chinese, English, and Spanish, you
Right.
cover 80, 90% of the world. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
but for some reason I ended up in Mauritius in Africa, which they speak Creole and French. And I said, okay, my six
Oh.
language don't help here. And
So
then
you speak
Vietnam,
French?
I'm petit peu. It's the French. I've taken French classes, but it's not enough for to speak fluently, right?
Got it.
And then here in Vietnam, I said, okay, I don't speak Vietnamese, but that's our point. Is not just the language; it's the way that you know how the system works in the country. You know, the food, the traffic, the things, the many commonalities once you go from one place to another. So, um, but the thing is that I always you're built on what you have achieved in the past. You
Right.
say, I can do this. I've done it before.
Right.
Done it. So you've done it once, you've done it, you can do it again. You've done it four times, you can do it anywhere. If you move to five different countries,
Right.
you make it. Yeah.
Right.
So it's not always being comfortable, but you put yourself out there and you get. I said three. When you asked me that, I was thinking of the three P's. You predict. You put yourself in that mindset. You predict what is the worst case scenario, what's the best case scenario,
Uh-huh.
what is your kind of personality, what you are good at, what is you're not good at, what is your advantage, disadvantage, and then you prepare for it, right? So, and then you practice. So those are
I'm
the
writing
three
this down. I'm taking notes. Predict, prepare, and then you practice. I've never
you
heard that.
practice.
I love that. That's the three P's with being comfortable with the discomfort, right? Because anybody that is successful, this is the key to success, is you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable because that's where transformation happens. Transformation doesn't happen when you're comfortable in the known. That's
Mm.
when same old happens.
Yes.
Status quo.
Right. And also, I mean, the reason I said that is because, don't think that people like me just throw ourselves into whatever environment without any preparation. Okay. So
Ah,
before I do something, I want to assess what is the environment, what are the risks. Me being Asian who can speak six languages, who
you're
you
doing like
know
a SWOT
would be
assessment. You're like,
yeah, right, right. You assess,
mhm,
and because that's how you predict, and then you can
right,
prepare for it. So it's kind of like a controlled, uh, unknown. You don't know what it's going to be, but you do as much background, homework, and preparation, so that you are best prepared. But you are
right,
still open minded enough to know that there are still things that are going to be different from what you expect, and how you're going to react.
right,
So you get yourself prepared. It's not that you just throw yourself out there, you don't make any preparation, you don't know anything about the law of the place or the culture, or
right,
you kind of have to know as much as you can, and then put yourself in the best position to be. But still, there is still always going to be a lot of unknown, which is the fascinating things. And so you gotta a big smile goes a long way. So it don't matter where the world is, which part of the world. If you smile, it's a positive thing. You know
uh,
how even alien comes and you smile, right? When you smile at people, it's a universal language.
that's a good one.
And then you're kind to people, it's a universal language, right?
Right.
And so things like that. And also, I'm not picky with food, so I survive pretty much
I am
everywhere.
so picky. I do not eat fish. They are my friends. And I see you with all this seafood. I'm like, oh my God. Because I'm a mermaid. So I'm from the sea. So I
I
can't eat
understand.
my friends. But it's so funny that you say about preparing. The first time I went to Colombia that I remember, I went when I was 6, but I don't remember. But when I was 19, I went. So I'm like, let me practice my Spanish. I'm like, hello, hola. And then everybody was saying, hello. And then I was like, okay, money is dinero. And they were saying plata. And then, like,
Plata.
everything that I thought I knew that was Spanish, they had a different word for it. I was like, forget it. I'm just going to feel the energy. And I didn't
Mhm.
really speak my trip, but Colombia, I mean, you know this about, South America. It's such a passionate country that you don't really need to speak. You can just, with your emotions and your facial
Right.
expressions, communicate. So somehow I was able to ask for what I want because suddenly my dad decided not to speak to me in English during that trip. I'm like, okay, now you're not speaking. So it forced me to learn at least
Yes.
basic to get around.
Yeah, yeah. I spent 2 weeks in Colombia without speaking a word of English.
Uh,
That's how I knew that my Spanish was on a fluent level.
wow, that's
Hey, if you can get by in a place 2 weeks with the native language, you're okay,
¡Qué
right?
chévere!
Experience.
¡Chévere! They would say chévere. They kept saying listo, listo, listo. I'm like, okay,
Listo.
okay, listo,
Ready. Are you
listo, listo.
ready? Ah, listo.
So, how do you stay grounded when you're a million miles traveling in the air? How do you keep your feet on the ground? Because one of the things you keep saying is focus and organization. Those, by the way, are the two of my weaknesses, and I overcompensate with all these alarms and making lists and having charts and post its. But how do you stay grounded and aligned for success?
You know, you say you compensate with making alarms and doing that. I think that is actually the strength and the tools that you use, which I do. We all create different tools, and
Uh,
I do the same. I write things down. I even create because well, I'm I'm single. I have my family, but I live alone for many years. So I even create these matrices where whenever I need to make a major decision, or even not so
oh,
major, like choosing an apartment, I will put apartments on one side. I'll put the criterias, and I would give them. I will weigh them. How many percent importance? I will
oh,
give a score. So it's not to say that, oh, okay, the score the highest I'll do. Yes, but it's a way to process your mind and put it down into a visualization, something that you can see
nice.
and you can constantly tweak and readjust with yourself, with your mind and with your heart. So all of those are tools. And I've shown very few people, maybe one or two, my matrix. And my matrix are, it's kind of funny because it really gets into your mind, but you get your mind onto a piece of paper and it really helps. So those
Yes.
are the things I wouldn't say they're your weakness, because if you're doing that, you actually probably process it better than many others that are confused and not being able to separate these from that. uh, so those are the things that I do. Kind of funny in a way, and I'm kind of obsessed with that. You mentioned about GSD and this and that. I'm OCD also, obsessed compulsive.
I am now since COVID. I'm like constantly cleaning and not touching anything.
Yeah. So no matter how OCD you are, I am more.
I'm
So
sure. I'm sure.
uh, yeah, but some of the most successful people have this trait of the OCD.
It's
They,
true.
so it does help to definitely focus and organize to keep you
But
grounded.
one of the things that you said that I think makes you very special, and I really love this about you, is that you said you match your mind with your heart. And I can, even though I don't know, this is our first time meeting, you guys. We have never met before, just today, but I feel like I know you. You have such a huge heart. You have so much compassion. You have so much empathy. It comes across in every picture. Everything you do, there is love infused in it. And coming from an engineering background, my dad's a systems engineer, and having a PhD and being so intellectual, how are you able to allow your left brain and your right brain, your mind and your heart to be a fully integrated and expressed being?
Yeah. So one thing I noticed, we haven't got into too much detail, is that yeah, we talked about my career. So on my dancing side, and I'm excited. That's the reason why I go back to California.
Oh,
Is
yeah,
that
let's talk about it.
when I yeah, just as a sort of background, when I was there, I've taught salsa in 4 different countries that I've lived in. And each time I moved there, get a job, my main job, get settled in, and then I would kind of start a salsa scene. Okay. And then,
I'm not
so
mad
yeah.
at you. We need a salsa scene.
Oh yeah, LA is a lot, a lot. So, but in LA, I had the probably the biggest salsa family, which we had so many years of really good times. Not just the classes, and we do parties, we do cruises, and
Oh.
so yeah. So Dance with Jew was actually Dance with Jew started in England and then Puerto Rico and then
Ah.
California.
Oh,
So I have
wow.
students back in England that I taught maybe 15 years ago that are now salsa teachers themselves.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I've maybe three that I know, three students that have become salsa teachers themselves. So that is the kind of thing that you change people's lives, and by having fun, by doing what you love, what you're passionate about, what you're good at,
Yes,
influencing and changing people's lives, and this is it gives you the satisfaction more than anything.
exactly.
Okay.
And they're inspired by your modeling. They're, you know?
Right. So yeah, on one side, yes, I'm lucky to have the career which gives me the comfort in the stability, and on the other side, I want to have this artistic side where I can express myself,
Right.
and then where I can create this social environment for people to come and feel part of the family, to have fun together, not just learning to dance as a skill, is to have this the social network around them. But we eventually becomes great friends and family, which I'm going to see all of them in 2 days, and maybe I'll do a class or whatever again over there. But it's something that stays forever. The friendship, the family, the passion, for my students that have become salsa teachers themselves, that makes me so proud and so happy.
Ah. The legacy lives on. Do you know, Dr. Ju, I officiate weddings, right? And my last 2 couples that I did their wedding, they both met salsa dancing.
Right. Yeah. My mom told me if you match make three people, have you will reincarnate into a good human being again in the following
Oh,
life. This
really?
is
I think I'm at 3. I think I'm at 3.
I got my three. I know I got my three.
I'm at
The
least 2.
There's more that I didn't know perhaps, but I know I got two,
Ah,
and I think all the three were through salsa. Through
okay.
salsa. In fact, yeah. Now in my head, three. All of them through salsa.
You see? Ah, then you reincarnate as what?
I think if I remember correctly, what my mom said, we said we have three, like reincarnate. If you're bad behavior, you might become an animal, a dog or whatever in the next life,
Uh-huh.
but you reincarnate into a human being again, like a good human being
Oh.
again,
Oh,
like
okay.
like
Like
like I
J-Lo?
always
Can I
say,
come back as J-Lo? No, I'm just kidding. Come back as
like a
J-Lo.
J Lo.
I'll come back my next lifetime as the J-Lo type person, you know?
You are already a J
Ah,
Lo
you're
type
right, you're right.
person.
I'm T
You are the
I'm
spicy
T-Lo.
Latina.
T-Lo, exactly. So, what tips do you have for people that allow their fear or that little voice to pull up their parking brake on their dreams? What could you tell them that can give them that inspiration to go for it?
For me, I'm like, last night I was thinking about this. It's like, and then I was out in the balcony thinking about all this, and then I saw a cat. And I was like, what's? I said, well, that's right, a cat is alive at this time, 3 o'clock in the morning, jumping from roof to roof into people's garden, and then being curious. I'm curious, like a cat,
Mm, nice.
because even though I believe in reincarnation, but I also believe that we have this one life,
Right.
kind of. But you know, I want to do everything. I want
Mm,
to. I want to achieve it, and I don't want to dream just to dream my dream. I want to live my dream.
yes.
I look around and I see a lot of people dreaming the dream, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. But
Mhm.
don't spend all your life dreaming your dream. You got to start living your dream while you
Exactly.
have the means and the energy and the youth. Okay.
Exactly. I believe the same thing. My first company, Passionate Living Now, is because people said, oh, when I retire, I will travel. When you retire, you may not have the energy to travel. You
Right.
need to live your passion now.
You got to live your passion now.
Hmm.
Like, sometimes you may overestimate something, which is not like, like I said, Rio Carnival, right? Yeah. All you need is 4 days. 4 days. Okay. Expensive flight and the ticket of Carnival expensive. But hey,
Right.
you don't take money with you when you die, right?
Right.
You make money to spend it, to use
Exactly.
it for what you want. No point accumulating millions when you don't have the energy to spend it.
So your
and,
kids
and the
can fight over it.
right.
Look
Exactly.
at look at Prince with his estate. Like, oh my God, it's a mess.
So yeah, you got to think about now. You got
Yes.
to, and you got to have that open mind to absorb and to embrace. So, and not just putting yourself out, and to also soak in wherever you are and wherever you are. Like we are talking earlier, it doesn't matter whether you put me in the worst place in the world, I can still make the best of it. you know
Yes.
uh, in fact, I jokingly say I'm never going back to England again because the weather sucks, the food
It's
sucks, and
raining.
it's kind of miserable place to live. But
Uh,
I lived my best times there because I was in
uh,
my 20s. I was first in my university, and then I got my first job. I made the best friends.
uh,
I was fearless. I went out and made all the mistakes because I know I'm in my 20s. I have all the time to make mistakes. I went to explore things, sometimes a little bit dangerous, but those become the best memories and the best experience,
right.
even when it was not a desirable place to live, in my opinion. California is great weather, great food, great people, salsa, parties all the time. um, but again, doesn't matter where you are, you make the best of it, you can make a great life for yourself. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there, but most importantly, keep an open mind.
Hmm.
So I see more, hear more, and judge less, meaning
Ooh, say that again. That's a good one. I want to take a note.
you see more and you hear more, but you judge less. See, I am probably the least judgmental person you can meet. Is that no matter where you are, what culture and what people do, there's always a reason behind it. You try to understand that reason. So
Right.
I don't really judge. I embrace. Even if I
Mm,
don't do the same because it's not my style, not my
right.
taste, but people do things for a reason that they are. It can be because they're in a communist country, maybe
Right.
because of poverty, maybe
Right.
because of background, ethnicity, culture, whatever. There
Right.
is a reason, and you learn to appreciate that, and you show compassion and empathy. You will get back a lot more because you appreciate how the world is, and it made me appreciate how lucky I am. You
Right.
know, uh, and because if you go in there with a judgmental mentality, then you already block yourself out in experiencing and absorbing and accepting the environment and the culture. So keep
Right.
an open mind, understand, accept, and embrace.
And live with the curiosity of a cat.
Yeah. Yes, I can't help it, always curious.
I love that. I love that. It's so awesome. And I have a lot of people. In fact, most of my people are here in LA. And since you're coming to LA, I
Yes.
really want my friends and my community to follow you. So, where is the best place that they could stay in touch with you online?
Well, I mean, all social media, Facebook, you can go Facebook, Martin Joo Tey, or Facebook's Dance with Jew, Joo, Jew. You see, Dance with Jew, Dance with Jew. Not just Dance with You, Dance with Jew.
Dance with you. I want to dance with you. That's why I've been trying to
Yeah,
dance
come
with
to
you.
Dance with You, or YouTube, also Dance with You. So,
You have
or
lessons on YouTube on how to dance? I know a lot of people that want to learn how to dance.
yeah, you go on YouTube, you can see my music videos. We did
Don't you sing as well? I heard you singing
uh,
bachata or something like that.
reggaeton.
Oh, reggaeton. Oh my God.
It's just
Jew,
a
you should
TikTok
come
moment.
Saturday night. I'm going on a reggaeton yacht cruise. I'll invite you. I'll tell you about
Reggaeton
it.
yacht cruise.
On a yacht cruise, a reggaeton yacht cruise. I'll invite you.
I love it.
Okay.
Salsa, bachata, reggaeton. I
In
am.
LA.
That's
S-
me. Mi corazón.
Salsa what? Say it again.
Salsa, bachata, reggaeton.
Salsa, bachata,
I.
reggaeton.
I. It's in my blood. I must be Latino and past life. I love.
Exactly.
Oh my God, reggaeton. I teach reggaeton dance
You
also.
do?
Yeah,
I don't
not
even know.
many
I
people
fake it. I
do.
fake it till I make it. But I used to do a lot of reggae and I used to do a lot of dance hall. So I take my reggae and my dance hall and I just start rolling.
That's right, baby.
I just
That's
start
right,
rolling.
baby.
You know it. You know it.
Reggaeton is another level.
I love it. I love your passion. I love your energy. You are so
You know,
inspiring to me, and I know that there are so many people that are going to be. Stacy says yes. She's our Puerto Rican girl on the. She's
all
like
right,
yes, yes,
Boricua.
yeah, yeah, Boricua.
Aquí soy.
Her and I are always dancing to Prince, but we're going to start dancing salsa and reggaeton and
Of
everything.
course,
I'll invite you,
Boricua.
Stacy, if you want to come to the yacht party. Yeah.
You, 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 you tell her that my nickname also is Borichino.
Boricino, Boricino, I love
Yeah, El Chinito que baila.
it.
There's so many nicknames that I could give me in Puerto Rico.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I know that people have gotten so much out of it, and I'm going to share this away. Stacy says, "Sounds great." She wants to come to the Yatecita. It's Yatecita, Stacy. So anyway, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for your time. I know it's so super early in the morning. You've got to catch your plane. Come to LA. La La Land is ready for you. We welcome you with open arms before you move to Bangkok. And I just want to say thank you so much for helping us do Align for Success.
No,
Any way
thank
we
you,
can
Deborah.
support you, just let us know. Everybody's going to be following you, and you're going to get all these new LA people.
Thank you. You know, this experience, because of this, I you actually allow me to take a moment to reflect a lot of
Good.
things in the past. So I
Yes.
really appreciate this opportunity, and I can't wait to meet you
I know.
and some of your friends. Boricino,
Yeah, she
she
says, "Thank
knows
you,
what I'm
Dr.
talking
Drew."
about.
She's going to be waiting online on the dance floor to dance with you. Yes, yes. It's so wonderful, Dr. Drew, because sometimes when you accomplish a lot of things in your life, you can take it for granted and always go to the next thing. But
Yeah,
taking this time to be on the podcast is an opportunity for you to reflect and say, "You know
absolutely.
what? This curious cat has lived a great life and it's just going to get better and better and better. And you're going to inspire more and more people to live their best life." Oh, Tatiana, she's another dance teacher.
All
She is
right.
from Italy. She says,
Tatiana
"Fire, fuego."
Dalmine.
Tatiana,
All
you should
right.
come with us. She's
We
not
go
only a
dancing.
dance teacher, she's a roller skater. She just came back from teaching in Miami. Yeah, she's
She looks
awesome.
like a good dance teacher. She looks like a
Yes.
good dancer.
Yeah, you know it. You know it. All my people are gorgeous inside and out. We do samba too here. So
I
we're
know.
having samba on the beach on Saturday.
That's
So
why I thought you're Brazilian. The
yeah,
samba.
I feel Brazilian. When I go to Brazil, they think if I don't talk, I'm Brazilian. So
Right, right, right. Yeah, you do look the part.
thank you so much. So blessing your travels. Much love to you, and I will see you soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Look forward to it.
everyone. Make sure you follow him. Follow facebook.com/dance with Drew. Go to his YouTube, and you too can align for success. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I really appreciate you. If you're listening on iTunes, make sure that you write us a review. If you're on YouTube, make sure you click the button to subscribe. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure that you not only follow me, but that you follow Dr. Drew so that you can be a part of this living passionately, purposefully, and prosperously. Ciao. See ya.
Besitos.
Besitos. Sí, he's such a Latino, muy cariñoso. Besitos, besitos.